Thank you for your kind introduction, Catherine. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour et bienvenue. It's my pleasure to be with you today, introducing this fireside chat and our speakers. As we strive to forge a resilient economy and define a new prosperity, we have a duty to consider all stakeholders, regardless of our respective backgrounds. Resilient economies enhance the participation of all willing citizens to build collective wealth that can then be redistributed in a fair and in a respectful manner. Today's topic on moving towards inclusive capitalism and how financial institutions can lead the way is incredibly timely and ties into the whole theme of redefining the new prosperity. Opportunities lie ahead. But as business leaders, we have an obligation to rethink our roles and define tangible, concrete objectives to address the disparities. And history teaches us that inequalities, when they are left unbridled, pushed to the limits, breed social insecurity, and are a threat to democracy. For example, seemingly unbridgeable economic differences were the root cause of the protest vote in the United States that culminated years later in the assault on Capitol Hill, January 6th. Similar discontent fired the Gilets jaunes in France. And the unfortunate consequences of the Brexit protest vote are just starting to materialize. Of course, it's normal that there be disparities in revenues, and they're a reflection to some extent and depend on the differences in efforts and sacrifices, and they can vary from one to another. But I would argue that market forces left to their own devices threaten the stability of democracies in the medium to long term. And it is from this angle of social harmony that the problem must be dealt with, in my opinion. Governments have a duty, as we know, to ensure a fair redistribution of resources in lockstep with the appreciation of workers' contribution with dignity. Now, in Canada, we're fortunate because we have social mobility on equal footing almost with the Scandinavian countries, as confirmed by the Conference Board. So we're lucky in that regard. But I think we can go further. And one of the measures we can take are an increase in the minimum wage. Now, I know there's a debate raging in Ontario right now on this subject, and I'm not anxious to put my fingers in the drying machine, but I think that's a valuable tool. The only caveat is that it has to be applied in a competitively neutral manner so that everyone participates to the same level and no shop owner or businessman or entrepreneur is treated unfairly. So we as decision makers can be supportive. So our speaker today has an impressive background that makes him uniquely equipped to discuss these and many other challenges. Today's conversation between Guy Cormier, President and Chief Executive Officer Desjardins Group, and his interviewer Gregory Bonnell, who is with us today, reporter and anchor of BBN Bloomberg News, focuses on the strategies that financial institutions can take to move towards inclusive capitalism and how they can affect the way in which the new economic agenda is shaped. Since being elected president of Desjardins Group in the spring of 2016, Guy Cormier has worked hard to instill a strong member and client-focused culture, corporate culture, in every one of Desjardins' 49,000 employees and 2,500 managers. Here is but a glimpse of his impressive career. Mr. Cormier graduated from HEC Montréal, where he earned both a bachelor's degree and an MBA. He also taught finance there for 8 years. He started at Desjardins Group in 1992, assuming a number of roles until he became general manager in 2002. Throughout his career, he has pushed for bold and innovative measures to improve the member and client experience. Mr. Cormier is also a strong advocate of the cooperative model, shared prosperity, and a greener and more inclusive economy. I have to say, my good friend, Mr. Cormier, your expertise and background are extremely valuable to us. Mr. Cormier will be in conversation with Gregory Bonnell, reporter and anchor at Bloomberg. Mr. Bonnell reports, amongst other things, on Canada's booming real estate market, how it drives the economy, and the risks that come with it. I think we're all in for a fascinating discussion on the needs to create a new economy built on notions of inclusive, dynamic, and sustainable forms of economic growth. I hope you enjoy this fireside chat, and I'm sure it's going to be fascinating and enlightening. Mr. Cormier, Mr. Bonnell, it's over to you.